That's fucking delightful. Fucking delightful. Fucking good combination playing. Sliding balls into space. Good. Excellent. You had them on the fucking roll.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Rotor Report podcast in association with the Sunderland Community Soup Kitchen. It's Gav back after Sunderland's resounding 4-1 away win at Wigan. Joining me to talk about it is Martin Wanless. Hiya mate.
Hello Gav.
And hello to the listeners. Yes, we battered Wigan away from home, Martin. 4-1. 4 different goal scorers. A team who we expected to beat, but gave us a bit of a roughing up at times. But some real quality goals from Sunderland on show. We probably shaded it over the 90 minutes. Well, probably about it. We definitely shaded over the 90 minutes, but it could have gone differently had at ones each. You know, we hadn't stayed in the game physically because Wigan, you know, had a couple of decent chances, but our quality shone through in the end and expect the 3 points, would you say?
It was a great 3 points, wasn't it? Especially coming off the Blackburn win on Boxing Day. Last minute winner there, and to follow that up with an away win against, you know, let's face it, against a team who we should beat, against a team who are absolutely bloody awful, against a team who are going to go down, I think, unless something seismic happens under Kolo Toure this second half of the season, because they are by far the worst team I've seen us play this season. So I think, you know, anything that we talk about, and look, we were excellent in large patches tonight, great goals we'll go through, but I think you've got to have that little sort of caveat that we were playing an awful side tonight, because we've had a good record against Wigan, haven't we, over the last couple of seasons? Actually, we did double over them last season, didn't double over them this season, but obviously they went up miles ahead of us last season, so it was nice to sort of see where both teams are this season, and look, I think we're streets ahead of them.
This could have probably gone another way. You know, you think back to that Cardiff game, that was the one a lot of people mentioned when the team was announced, because the last time we played such an inexperienced midfield was against Cardiff, and that was a game when we picked that team and everybody who saw it at 2:00 on that day, I remember, I was like, that's a really good side that we've picked there, you know, and then as the game played out on the pitch, we struggled and we got beat. And it could have been that type of game, but it wasn't. We were really good at times, especially in the first half. I felt like we definitely shaded the play. Probably unlucky to go in at half-time at 1-1, despite the fact, you know, McClean hit the post. But then in the second half, when we brought on our quality players, which we had on the bench, and we'll come on to the team selection in a minute, the quality shone through. The team selection we might as well drop straight into, because before the game that caused a little bit of a stir on social media and stuff. People weren't particularly sure on the team selection. Probably more to it than we realised. I think there's a few lads missing with injury. Corey Evans, for instance, was nowhere near the team. Stewart on the bench, which a lot of people weren't happy with, probably because he's been out for 4 months. And I think Tony Mowbray said after the last game, we didn't really want him to play 90 minutes, but needs must. So it was likely he wasn't going to start this one. And it was a gamble, wasn't it? But you have to say, looking at how things played out, how some of the lads who came in actually played, you know, your Bars, your Michuts, your Trai Humes, Bailey Wright even had a decent game. Given all of those things, you've got to say it worked and it came off.
It did work, and look, I was surprised by his team selection, and you know, I have a go at guessing the lineup on the website before each game, and I thought he'd make a couple of enforced changes there. I thought he'd go with the strongest side and just prioritise this game and not really worry too much about Blackpool, because after the Blackpool game, we've got a fortnight's break, I think, from league action. We've got the FA Cup game against Shrewsbury, so I thought we've got these 3 games to manage. And I did think Stewart would start, and I thought there would only be a couple of changes from the team that beat Blackburn. But it was a brave call, I think, by Tony Mowbray. Obviously, we don't know the extent of Evans' injury. The fact that he wasn't on the bench, I don't think, suggests it might be an injury rather than him just being rested. And you know, Mowbray has been talking Michut up a bit, hasn't he, in press conferences, and saying he's going to get a chance. And he came in, and look, he looks a lovely football player. You know, he's obviously a very cultured player. I think playing on that sort of pitch.
The pitch was shocking, wasn't it? It was absolutely shocking, the pitch. I mean, no wonder Wigan are so agricultural as a football team, because the pitch was shocking. It was like a ploughed field at times. It was awful.
Well, I think it pretty much was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You can tell they play rugby league on it, can't you?
Yeah. But yeah, the team selection was pretty ambitious, but like I say, I was happy enough with it. I'm happy regardless what he does, because I just think we've got such a good squad. Everybody knows their job. There's no egos at play, really. So he could pick any team for me and I would be happy with it, because I know that the lads going out there are going to give it their best, regardless of whether we win or not. That's the difference with this squad for me, is that, you know, compared to teams in recent years in the past and stuff, you can tell there's a real cohesion there. So we can make changes, and we made loads of changes in the game. We made all 5 subs, one of which was a player who was subbed on in Pritchard. And, you had players out of position. We had to change the system a little bit. And it made no difference because all Wigan had to offer was physicality and dark arts and trying to boot us around the pitch. And when we showed we were a match for that, they had nothing else to offer because we just gave it we gave it our best effort, And predictably, James McClean was at the centre of most of it, trying to hoof us all over the place and wind the fans up and all of it. But we just didn't rise to it because we knew we had the quality in the team to take it to them. And I mean, you said that they're probably the worst team you've seen. They'll go down. And those teams can be dangerous to play against, particularly at this stage in the season, just before January. They're going to want to make a couple of changes probably in the upcoming window. Maybe there's a few lads there who are playing for moves. I mean, Broadhead was on the bench for them. How he can't get a game for them, I've got no idea. Because, shocking. But yeah, we did the job. And like I said, it's very difficult sometimes to play against these teams. At ones each, we could have folded because there was probably a 5-minute period there where Wigan were just getting on top of us a little bit and they were winning a couple of free kicks, and I was feeling like, this game could spin a little bit. But then one of the common criticisms of Tony Mowbray has been his inability to switch things up, and he made changes that worked. So you've got to say over the 90 minutes, we probably deserved it. I mean, we definitely deserved it. Like I say, stats-wise, more shots on target, loads more possession, more passes, and just better quality, right? Wigan can't have any complaints about that.
Yeah. No, I think this could be a hugely important game for us moving forward, so more than the 3 points, because this is the first game that Michut started, the second game that Bar's started, and it was a little bit of a sort of redemption game for Bar, because I think he's looked excellent coming off the bench. But he had that start against Cardiff where he was in a midfield 2 with Dan Neil, and he looked all at sea, didn't he? He didn't have a good game at all. And I think that probably set him back a little bit in terms of his integration into the first team.
System suited him though, Martin, didn't it?
Well, it did tonight. He played in more advanced role. He had more protection behind him. And, the way that he drove forward from midfield with the ball on a number of occasions, he moves quickly with the ball. He advances up the pitch. And, he looks a really good player, a very different player to Michut, but a really good, talented player. And that'll give Tony Mowbray confidence that the two of them can do a job for us in the second half of the season. And it'll give them confidence that they can do a job as well. Obviously, we've talked a lot about Amad in previous weeks, but he's increasingly coming to the fore, and he didn't have the best of games tonight, but he's got that quality to stick that glorious shot away to seal the 4-1 win, which was beautiful. And there's not many players we've got who can do that sort of thing.
No.
So it was it was a really important victory tonight. And I think you commented about Tony Mowbray making early subs, and he's been criticised for not making it. It was probably a little bit easier for him tonight because he had Ross Stewart on the bench, he had Patrick Roberts, he had Pritchard on the bench, players who he trusts. And, that was probably his game plan all along. Get 60 minutes, the game's all right, managing the game, throw those lads on because we don't want to risk them for 90 and get the win. And it worked out perfectly.
Yeah. Like I say, Wigan tried again amongst us. To be fair, we stood up to it. The referee gave us a couple of decisions. They had one forced change in defence, and given they've not really got many defenders fit, that was to our benefit. And we got the goal to kick things off, which was from Ellis Sims. But just before that, we had the chance from Bar, didn't we? Which I
don't know how that stayed out. Like, it was a good save by the keeper.
I think if he hits it anywhere to the left, it's in.
It was funny though because he had 2 defenders on that side, didn't he? And he had the keeper come over, and the keeper actually made a lot of ground up to come back across himself.
Yeah,
I think it's hard to criticise Bar for actually just wellied it into what he thought was the space, wasn't he? But the keeper got across and he made a really good save.
He actually started the move off as well before the ball fell to him. He did really well. Yeah. But yeah, the first goal came from Ellis Sims. It was a bit of good play from Trai Hume. I've watched the goal back a few times now, and he actually crosses it into the floor, which obviously helps us a great deal because it takes all of their defence and goalkeeper out of it, and Sims is just waiting for it to head it home. There's a lad on the line playing him on, which is always nice. And Sims got another goal.
That was a shot, me like.
You reckon it was a shot? I mean, we're just watching it back here now.
The ground going across the keeper.
Let's have a look.
I reckon so.
I don't know, because he sort of puts his foot behind the ball. We'd have to ask Trai Hume, I guess. But I mean, if he meant it, then fantastic, But good striker's instinct from Sims, who
Right place at the right time.
right place, right time, like you say. Good little header, gets us up and running. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much to say about that goal, is there, other than the fact he was in the right place at the right time to score it. Wigan, to be honest, couldn't have done a great deal about it. I think the shot come cross from Hume totally outfoxed them, and that was that. After that, though,
They make a bit of a mess of it, don't they? The two defenders going for the same ball collide, which lets it go through to Hume. It was nice to get that goal straight away after that save from Barr's shot, because so often we have a glorious chance like that, don't we? And we don't capitalise on it, and then you play the next 10, 15 minutes and go, oh shit, if only we got that chance, things would have been different. But it was nice to get that goal at that point. And we've been on top. I think, Gav, like I think we started the game really, really well. We started, composed. We started strong. We took any sting out of Wigan that they started the game with. And they're in a funny position, aren't they? They've sacked a very popular manager. They've got Toure in, I know he's been Brendan Rodgers' coach at Celtic and Leicester, but he's not a proven manager.
no.
It's a massive gamble for them.
Someone pointed out that they named a stand after Liam Richardson, which
I think they did after what happened with Charlie White.
Oh, right, okay, right. It just seems bizarre, doesn't it? He's no longer there so soon after getting promoted and stuff. They're a bit of a basket case, clearly. You can tell just by looking at the team, they haven't got any real money behind them to invest in the team. It's pretty much the same team they came up with. And not great. But James McClean hit the post with a half volley, which was a bit of a warning to us. We just got away with that. And then their goal, let's quickly talk about it. I mean, I don't...
Well, Amad hit the bar, didn't he? Amad hit the bar before they equalised. I think it might have been.
Yes, he did. Yes.
I think it was.
It was a great hit. I wish that had gone in. Yeah.
To me, that's a sitter. He's got to score there.
Yeah, well, I guess he's put all of his power into the shot rather than just taking his time, which he's actually normally really composed. But yeah, sorry, their goal then, the equaliser, not great from Patterson, really, was it? It was...
No, it was a fault for it.
Yeah, I don't really want to criticise too much, but the move breaks down after Sims loses the ball. They get through the midfield. I think it's Asgard who has the shot originally, and it's a pretty comfortable one for Patterson. I mean, it's not like there's a sea of bodies in front of him and he can't see it. It's there. It's like it's not a great shot, and it bounces up in front of him. He palms it into a dangerous area, and good instincts from their forward who taps it home. I think it's Will Keane. Yeah. It's a disappointing one, isn't it?
No, it is. I think there's a few things to pick up on that. Earlier in the move, Sims I can't remember who played the ball into him, it might have been Clark, but Sims was really quite weak in holding the ball up, and he let their defender nip in ahead of him. And I think that would be a criticism of Sims's game tonight.
Yeah.
Where he wasn't strong. And it's difficult for him now, isn't it? You're comparing him directly with Ross Stewart, and on Boxing Day against Blackburn, Stewart did that magnificently. But the game progresses, and look, the lad has a shot from, it's about 30 yards out, isn't it? And Patterson's got a clear view of it. It moves a little bit, but he's either got to stop that, catch it, or if he's not sure, tip it around the post. He pushes it back out into a really dangerous area. Keane does, what you like to see good strikers do, follow in on the off chance that the ball pop out.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Patterson. I think he's got so much potential. And I think he's got that thing with any young player that they're going to make mistakes, they're going to have a lack of consistency, and only by playing football you're going to get that consistency. He's got all the attributes to be a really good keeper, and we've seen all of those attributes in spells this season. But you're going to get errors like that, and hopefully he doesn't dwell on it, and the fact that we've come away with a comfortable 3 points will mean that it's not a mistake that gets scrutinised too much by people.
No, I think at half time though, the lads and the management and stuff probably went in really frustrated that we were not winning, because we'd been the better team.
We're so much better.
By far outplayed them. Yeah. But we started the second half with the same team. I think, like I said before, there's been criticism of Mowbray recently not making subs soon enough, but there was a period where you could feel the game turning a little bit in Wigan's favour. And normally in a game you can see these things, but it's dead common with us after half time for some reason, where we just don't start very well. And that's when you're normally sitting there going, well, come on, let's get the changes ready. And to be fair, he did. He made 3 changes. He brought on Roberts for Clark, who Clark's been out of sorts for a number of weeks. I mean, did nothing really in this game.
Yeah.
Michut went off, which is to be to be understood, really. He hasn't played from the start at all for us. So he was probably always penciled in for an hour to give Pritchard half an hour or so. And same goes for Sims and Stewart. I think Stewart was always going to come on with a fair chunk of the game left. But that ability to make those changes was what won us the game. And Wigan just didn't have that quality of player on their bench. We did. And I think that's been our calling card for a couple of weeks now. We've got really good players sitting on the bench.
Well, we have, and as I said earlier, the fact that we started with Michut and Barr meant there was a couple of more experienced players on the bench for him to bring on. And, again, Mowbray has been criticised a bit for not making early subs, but when you've got Stewart and Pritchard and Roberts sat there to bring on, it's an easy call to make, or an easier call to make. And, again, you're probably looking at this game a little bit differently to you would do a regular Saturday fixture where you played the previous week and you haven't got a game for another 7 days. You've got to manage these 3 games, a Boxing Day game, this game, and our game against Blackpool on New Year's Day. You kind of got to manage them as a trio of games in some respects. Players aren't going to be able to play a full 90 minutes, or not, unless your name's Luke O'Nien, you're not going to be able to play a full 90 minutes for all 3 games. So, there's going to be changes. There'll be a few more changes, I think, for the New Year's Day game at Blackpool. Unfortunately, we had to sub Pritchard off a couple of minutes after he came on, which is a big blow. But it was nice to see him make those changes and make use of the squad.
Yeah, and the impact of Roberts was felt almost immediately, wasn't it, with his run for the penalty? Do you think it was a penalty? Nailed on, wasn't it?
Oh, it's clear. I must admit, when I first saw it, I thought, what the hell is he giving? Because I was watching the ball.
Yeah.
I didn't see it in real time, so fair play to the referee, but it's a clear penalty. And it was interesting, wasn't it? Because Roberts obviously usually plays off the right. And we've talked and wondered how on earth you fit Amad and Roberts into the same team, because Amad is so much better coming off the right than he is anywhere else. He played more of a free role on Boxing Day and he did pretty well, but you kind of wonder whether Roberts coming in off the left, like he won that penalty driving in from the left-hand side.
Yeah. And
he's all left foot. And you kind of wonder whether that actually is an option, especially with Clark being out of form, as you mentioned before.
Yeah.
And that could be something for Mowbray to think about for the coming weeks.
His close control is just unbelievable. I mean...
he's a class player.
Yeah. Dariqua, I think it is, the right back, can't get anywhere near him. And there's 3 or 4 players... He
tries to have a little tug, doesn't he?
Yeah, there's 3 or 4 players trying to work out where Roberts is going. And his feet are just so quick. And what it takes is somebody coming in from the side, heavy-footed, not really knowing what they're doing, maybe a little bit tired in the play, and he commits, and Roberts gets us that penalty, and that's what he's got in his locker that maybe nobody else has got. It's a very unique skill that he's got. There's not many players really in the Championship that I can think of who have that ability to just run at pace with the ball, regardless of the fact he's about 5'5", 5'6". Nobody can get near him because he's just so quick and nimble and difficult to get near.
Oh, he's actually a beautiful football player to watch. Like, technically gifted, he can do everything. He's got a bit of pace. He can, leave players on their arse, and it's just a matter of him finding his position in the side. And I think, he's been here almost a year, hasn't he? And we still haven't got him locked into a regular position where he is guaranteed to start every week. Great player to have come off the bench, but you just think there's more to come from him because he's such a talented player. And I think that's a challenge for Tony Mowbray and the coaching staff to find his position where he's going to excel every week because he's got so much ability.
Roberts and Amad really love playing together as well. I mean, you saw that as the game goes on. We'll talk about the other goals in a bit, but you've got to get them 2 on the pitch somehow because they're just too good. They're too good.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's not many teams have got any players really of the quality of Roberts. I haven't certainly seen any. Amad, like I say, coming into his own, looks every bit a Premier League footballer. There just aren't many teams at this level who've got that in their locker. So we've got to find a way of getting them on the pitch. But it was Ross Stewart who took the penalty, placed it to the left again, which seems to be his favourite spot. But I think, to be fair, I know the goalkeeper was close to it. I don't think he gets his glove on it. He might just get a fingertip, but it's so far in the corner that he isn't going to save it anyways. So, that's a good penalty for me. They don't all have to be smashed down the middle or in the top corners. If you just get the right amount of pace on it but are very accurate, it's going to be difficult either way for the goalkeeper. I mean, the goalkeeper dives the correct way, but he just isn't long enough to to stop it from going in. So happy days. It makes us 2-1 up in the game, and Wigan, I think you can tell by the reaction of Naylor, the centre midfielder, when the ball hits the back of the net, he thinks the goalkeeper's got to it. But like I say, I think it's just too accurate for him to get near, and Ross Stewart gets another goal. I think he was talking after the game on Boxing Day about the fact he hadn't had a penalty all season. Well, there's the second one. So hopefully many more to come.
There's millimetres in that mind, isn't there?
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's an absolutely spot on penalty, absolutely perfect penalty in many respects. It's low, clips the inside of the post. There's so much accuracy needed for that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like I say, he probably practices that every day in training. Like I say, they don't all have to be smashed down the middle or into the top corners.
No,
sometimes
not.
It's and he's probably looked at their goalkeeper as well. Maybe thought, oh, he's weak down to his right hand side. I don't know. I'm just guessing here, but yeah. So we were 2-1 up, and to be honest, I didn't feel like we were ever going to lose from that point or even concede another goal. Wasn't really threatened by Wigan whatsoever. Pritchard, I think, in the celebrations for the goal, got injured. I didn't see any replay of it on the stream, but
I'm not sure what happened to him, because he passed the ball out wide, didn't he, to Roberts for the build up to that penalty. So whether he did something in that move leading up to it or did something in the celebration, I don't know. But it looked like his calf again, which obviously he'd been out with for the last few weeks anyway. So that's a disappointment if it is a recurrence of that.
Yeah. So Matete came on, and to be honest, that wasn't although you don't want a player going off after a couple of minutes through injury, Matete coming on actually gave us a little bit more protection in midfield that we maybe didn't have, because obviously we went for it at ones each. We were 2-1 up. We had that little bit more steel in midfield, and I thought Matete actually had a really good game when he came on. A couple of minutes after that, Leon Diaku came on, playing left wing back, because I think Abdullah Bar's picked up a knock. Hopefully that's not too serious either, but you've got to give credit to Diaku, because he doesn't get... There aren't many people out there who are really fighting his corner, and he hasn't really shown anything this season when he has been given those little chances off the bench or whatever. But I actually thought he did really well playing left wing back. Just done his job, held his position, worked hard.
And you know what? He had a spell last season, didn't he, where he was playing wing back for quite a number of games, and he did pretty well. He acquitted himself fairly well. And what you can never criticise Diaku for is his effort when he comes on. He might not have played for a month or 6 weeks, but he comes on. He's always wanting to do well, and we can argue about his attributes and his limitations as a player till the cows come home. But he's another one, as you said earlier. Like the squad seems to have a good attitude about it, united, and he's a good example of that bit part player who comes on, always gives it his all. And like say, James Matete, I thought was excellent when he came on, and I think he's been really badly underused this season. I'm not sure why he has been. To me, he should be the third choice midfielder at the minute behind Evans and Neil. And when one of them comes out, he should be going in. He hasn't been given a chance. And obviously, we don't see what goes on in the training field. And I think Alex Neil had talked earlier in the season, hadn't he, about he didn't know whether he was a number 6 or a number 8 or a number 10 or whoever he is. But there's a player in there, and I'd like to see... I'd either like to see more of him in the Sunderland shirt this second half of the season, or go out somewhere on loan where he's going to play week in, week out, because he's a good player and we need to develop him. Yeah.
And on Diato, he was a little bit unlucky, wasn't he? I think he won us a penalty. The referee didn't think so. Do you think it was a handball?
From the replays I saw, it was hard to really tell. I think Danny Collins made the point in the commentary on the Sunderland TV channel that there was one in the World Cup, I think, that Bruno Fernandes got that was very similar to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could have been. But I think it's one of those, it's hard for the referee to see, and obviously we haven't got VAR, so it's a tricky one, especially after he's given us a penalty already.
Yeah. And then we had a really comfortable period in the game where we were just on top without really threatening their goalkeeper, but it was nice to see us get a bit of rhythm back, because we had a really good first half, then had that little sticky period at the start of the second half, and then once we got our lead back, we then started to play a little bit more, and the lads on the pitch who came on got comfortable. You've got to give them credit, because like I say, it was a very, very much a patched up team. We had a lot of players who would normally be in amongst it, not there. Lads out of position, like say Diaku having to play left wing back and all the rest of it, but like I say, once we got in a little bit of rhythm, we were fine, and that's what I like about this team. It doesn't matter who you take out and put in and where you put them. They know their role. They know what they're on the pitch to do, and they just get on with the job. And at that point, it was just, don't let Wigan back into the game. Play our stuff, because they won't get near us if we do. That's all we did. And then as the game advanced, we got the goals to kill off the match and win the 3 points. Paddy Roberts with the third. It was an immense bit of football. I know that it deflected in off one of their players, but the football in the lead up was just outrageous. I mean,
yeah, it was class, wasn't it?
I've got to say, there's some times this season where I've watched Sunderland and I can't quite believe it's a Sunderland team I'm watching. And there was a little bit of that, because we had to win the ball back. We had to, Wigan had the ball. We were playing in a really small space, really. And, it's that work down the right-hand side. I think it's Dan Neil who wins the ball. He plays it to Matete, back to Neil. Roberts flicks it round the corner. Neil stabs it back to Roberts. Roberts shoots. It goes in off their player and in. But just that, the ability to be able to play that kind of football, it says a lot about the environment, doesn't it, that we've created at the club.
And the confidence as well. Yeah. Obviously, they're all confident in their ability, but each other's ability as well. And look, when you got players on the field like Amad and Roberts who can do that sort of stuff, and obviously do it in training day in, day out, it's not hard to do. It was a great example of us playing that sort of football in the right area of the pitch at the right time of the game. Yeah. Because I think initially there was a spell before that, wasn't there, where we were just keeping the ball, just trying to take the sting out of the game more than anything else. We weren't trying to get the third goal. We were just trying to take the sting out of the game. Yeah. Maybe tempt McClean into another foul to get him sent off. But the opportunity then opens up to get into the box. And obviously, once you get into the box, if they put a tackle in, it's, you're taking a risk. And I think, the likes of Dan Neil did incredibly well in that move. And I actually think Dan Neil had a fantastically good game. I've been critical of Dan Neil and his impact on games. We had, it was a hell of a lot of responsibility on his shoulders tonight with Evans out, and he was a senior player in that midfield. And I thought he probably had his best game for us tonight. I think Dan Neil, I think he was excellent from start to finish, and played some lovely football in that move to set up Roberts. And look, I think he'll get credited with the goal. I think it was just about on target, wasn't it? But nice little deflection to put in.
Yes, I think it's just on target.
That would have hit the same place as Stewart's penalty did, that one.
Yeah. So that was the third. Then to round things off was just Amad. What do you say about this kid? I'm running out of superlatives. I think he's just unbelievable. He actually didn't play particularly well, but it doesn't matter when you're as good as that. I mean, we do get a little bit fortunate. Another 1-2 between him and Roberts. Again, like I said, Roberts was just in amongst everything, wasn't he? In that sort of half an hour or so he was on the pitch, and he lays it off to Amad.
That was just stunning, great strike.
Yeah, I think Wigan at that point just didn't really know what to do with our right hand side, because Amad moves through them like there's nobody there.
Yeah,
but even then, the position in which he picks up the ball isn't a simple one, and he has one look, looks back down, bang, left foot, straight across the goalkeeper into the corner. He's getting nowhere near that. His starting position isn't actually that bad, but it's just such a good strike that he was never getting anywhere near it. And that's the type of quality we've, become familiar with Amad. He's so good. I'm really, the only thing with Amad, I'm a little bit gutted he's not ours, but enjoying while he's here, because when he's doing stuff like that every week.
Exactly. It's funny, Gavin and I are just watching the replay of this goal, and watch Bailey Wright and Luke O'Nien at the end of this shot. Both of them, as soon as the ball leaves Ahmad's foot and goes towards net, both Bailey Wright and Luke O'Nien have the head in the hands. I can't believe what they're seeing.
I think is it not Dan Neil, 24? Is that Dan Neil's number? But
could be.
But they're both just. I mean, the thing is, these train with him every day, so they must see this multiple times every day in training.
And I think Tony Mowbray has made the point, hasn't he? Where he says Amad has, over the past couple of months, initially he felt as if he had to kind of earn the respect of his teammates. He was off in the little group with Bar and Michut and stuff like that. But he's the other lads have seen what you can do in training. And he'd be doing stuff like this and better in training every day. And he's won the respect of his teammates. And you can kind of see that in terms of where they give him the ball during the game to receive the ball, to do things with. And look, he's not our player. He'll never be our player permanently. Although I did have a dream the other day that we actually signed him permanently.
Well, I hope it comes true.
Which, it might be a premonition. But he's a player who, from a Man U point of view, he's going to be a star. If he he keeps his head right and all that sort of stuff, from a ability point of view, he could be anything he wants to be.
Yeah.
But he's learning how to be a football player this season, and we've already seen the development and improvement over the past few months with him being here. And I think, there's been a little bit of speculation that Man U might recall him in January. I think that would be the worst thing they could do for his career, because I think another 6 months here developing, or 5 months here developing his footballing ability, being not developing his footballing ability, but developing his football awareness and being part of a team that's hopefully pushing at the right end of the table. He's going to be a better player in 5 months' time than he is now, and he could be invaluable to us in the second half of the season, because he's got everything you'd bloody wish for.
Yeah, it's interesting as well that when he went to Rangers, he didn't impress anybody there. Like the fans that we spoke to didn't think anything of him, and I think that's just the case. Yeah, when you look at it, he's in an environment where he's able to do everything he wants to be able to do with the football. And like you've just said, Man United would be fools to take him out of that environment, because we're watching a Premier League footballer here, like no doubt about it.
At the very least,
he could go into the Premier League now and would make an impact for whatever team he was playing for. That's how good I think he is.
Well, I agree, and we've talked about it before, haven't we? But this is just another example, and it's a very public example of players thriving, young players coming here and thriving in Sunderland's environment. And, whether they're coming in on loan, ideally they're coming in on permanent deals, but you've got Amad there. We've seen some other players come through who, Jack Clark, out of form at the minute, but, he's come in, developed as a player, got regular football circuit, we've talked about before. This is a really good advert for young players coming here, being given a chance to play, being given responsibility and developing in a team that plays football the right way.
Yeah.
And, going into the January transfer window, what better advert could you want?
It just, I'm really excited about that, actually. It just strengthens our position, doesn't it, going into that? Because
hugely.
He's not the only example. I mean, even Roberts, you look at him in this game, there's a lad who everybody knows he's got ability, and this is the only time, really, since he played for Celtic, 5 years ago, that he's had that chance to show it properly. And Sunderland have become the destination to send your young players if you want them to thrive. You look at it there, massive crowd, I think 4,500 fans there tonight. There was 44,000 or so there on Boxing Day. Where else are you going to send a young player where they're going to play in front of that many fans with this much expectation in an environment where they're allowed to flourish and they play good football and good football's encouraged and young players can make mistakes? Where else do you send them if they're not going to a Premier League club than Sunderland?
It's clubs sending them here, but it's also players choosing to come here.
Yeah.
And
is this the right place to go for my career? Yeah.
And, I suspect a couple of years ago, players might not have chosen us. And, we've seen that before, haven't we?
Yeah.
But I think now, if you're a young player and you've got Tony Mowbray, who, as a manager, his reputation is for looking after players, putting his arm around the shoulder, developing them, creating a good environment for them. Like, there's a hell of a lot to be bloody positive about.
A huge amount. I'm just buzzing, to be honest. Like, I love being able to record these podcasts straight after the games when we win, because when you get to see players as good as that doing their stuff in a Sunderland shirt, there's nothing better for me as a fan.
It's class. And look, that game tonight, we saw in spells the best of what we can do, and there was some patches where it didn't come off, and the better team would have got back into the game. I think we have to be mindful of that as well. But some of the football, and it's the potential, isn't it? It's just the potential we have got, and I think that's the big difference between us and Wigan. You saw their team who came up ahead of us last season, got more points than us last season. They've got a team primarily full of players who are good League One players, and they showed that last season. But our team, the vast majority of them, haven't played at Championship level on a regular basis before. No. If you go through our starting 11 tonight, who's played regularly at Championship level? Bailey Wright? Is that it? Probably is. Jack Clark's played a little bit, but not much.
Yeah, same with Roberts, I guess.
Roberts hasn't played.
We're just looking at it now, yeah. Bailey Wright.
There's not much championship.
Ballard.
Ballard had a season last season, didn't he?
Yeah, not a lot at all. Yeah, I think I just seen a tweet.
There's not much championship experience there.
I saw a tweet that we've got an average age of 22 in that team.
Yeah, and Bailey Wright knocks that up.
Yeah, significantly.
Quite significantly as well.
Yeah. So no complaints from me. Like I say, it's great to watch, and after having done this podcast for many, many years now and had to talk about so much dross, it's just nice to be able to talk about a decent team. We're fourth as we record this in the table. That'll change probably because there's games tomorrow. But, for now, we are fourth in the table. We're only 1 point behind Blackburn, who've lost 4 of the last 5 to just 2 points behind them at the minute, Sunderland do. So sky's the limit. I wrote this in my editorial on the website this week. A lot of people want to do Sunderland down and reduce our expectations and all the rest of it. And I do get it, because we've just came up from League One. It feels like it's far too soon to be even thinking about Sunderland getting promoted or being in the playoff race. But when you look at the quality of the teams in this league and how well we fared against them, I'm sorry, but there's nothing stopping us. The only thing that will stop us is some really bad injuries to good players, and I hope that doesn't happen. Otherwise, we're going to keep picking up wins just like this against teams who can't cope with the style of football, and this is going to keep happening, and we're going to keep winning games and getting better. That's the main thing.
You know what, Gav? You're talking there, 25 games into the season, 4th in the table. Out of those 25 games, Ross Stewart's probably played, 8?
Maybe. I think he played 8 just before his injury. 10. So 10, 11 games,
we played 15, 16, 17 games without our main striker. Played 14 of those without any striker.
Yeah.
We still haven't scored a corner. Still haven't scored a free kick. So there's huge room for improvement already. And it's been interesting the last couple of games. We've been trying different things at corners. Like we had that one against Blackburn where we pulled it short and Stewart had a shot. We tried a couple today where we were kind of grouped in funny positions. We're obviously trying to develop something from a set piece. And, there's so much opportunity to improve there. You've got Stewart back and, there's obviously been further rumours today about Stewart, but, you hope that he stays and we get him signed to a new contract. Got the transfer window opening, which hopefully will be a positive thing rather than a negative thing for us. And, who knows where we go the second half of the season.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what happens from here. Man the match tonight, Martin. I think Andy on the website gave it to Dan Neil. On Twitter, the readers gave it to Luke O'Nien, but there were lots of honourable mentions for Dan Neil. Who was your man the match?
I thought Dan Neil was excellent. I thought Trai Hume had a really good game. I thought he was good taking the ball forward, but also defensively very solid.
Yeah.
He put one great tackle in on McClean in the first half, which was a proper crunching tackle, absolutely fair. Went through him, so I think he deserves a mention. And I thought Barr was superb. It was unfortunate he had to go off through injury, but I thought he was superb. But I think there's a few contenders. I think on the balance, I would give it to Dan Neil just because I have criticised him for not having enough influence on the game. There was a big opportunity there for him tonight to step up, show some responsibility, take some control, and show some leadership. And I think he did it.
Yeah. 3-word reviews. We'll quickly run through a couple of these over on the Rotor Report Twitter account. We asked the followers there to give us their 3-word reviews of the game. Cam Cook 00 says Dan Neil underrated. Leon Patel says James McClean who. Gary Kirby says Roberts before Clark, which is something we've just talked about. Philip Smith says we are dangerous. Dan McGarvey says trust in Tony. Kyle Wilkinson says fuck me sideways. Isola Sean says took the piss. Tim says great result that. Tommy Smith, the singer who was of course on the pitch on Boxing Day, says always beat Wigan. To right, I can't remember last time we lost to Wigan. To be honest, it's been a while, hasn't it?
No, I would say we did the double over them last year as well, didn't we? Because that was Alex Neil's first win, wasn't it? When we went down there and beat them 3-0 with Arby making his full league debut. So that was less than a year ago.
Bailey Wright scored about 2 or 3 minutes in, didn't he? If I remember rightly.
He did, aye.
Yeah. Onwards and upwards says Gordon Wilson. AJJ says scope to improve. Sorry, I might have butchered your name there. Laith Al Hakim says brick wall defence. Glyn Jenkins says only total football. Snow Wayman says seasonal 6 points. And Ashton Williamson will round off on this one, says sign Amad Diallo. I think that would probably have to empty the bank account of the entire Dreyfus family to get him. But yeah, we'll just enjoy him while he's here. That's all I keep saying to myself, because it is going to hurt when he gets to the end of the season and he's scored that winning goal at Wembley and we're in the Premier League and he goes back to Man U.
Hey, if that happens, we'll probably sign him for another season on loan. And I think, you know what, it's one of those situations. I remember being distraught about Peter Beagrie going back to Everton. Because Beagrie came in on loan after we'd sold Gabbiadini and was class, and he was only on month's loan. And it looked like really obvious one way it would sign him. He hadn't been getting in Everton's team. And, you know, maybe one of those players who's on the borderline between the top flight and the second tier. And I was convinced we were going to sign him. This one's different with Diallo. You just know there's not a cat in hell's chance of us ever getting him on a permanent deal. So we just have to enjoy him. And if we went up, there might be a chance of getting him again for a season. Hey, but just enjoy him, because he could become an absolute superstar. And he could be one of those players who we were watching in 7 or 8 years' time. Well, remember when he played for us?
Yeah.
Because he's that good. So, you know, just enjoy him. And hopefully he stays here for the rest of the season.
I wonder if that's the first time someone's compared Peter Beagrie to Amad. Possibly.
Well, if you listen back, Gavin, I didn't compare the players.
You did, man. You did. So
Amad, not as good as Peter Beagrie.
So yeah, next
he doesn't
up,
do somersaults. He can't be.
No. Well, he might start doing them. You never know. Maybe when he hears this back. So next up is a game on New Year's Day away at Blackpool. We'll be back with all our coverage around that game. I don't know if there'll be a preview. We're letting Chris have Christmas off. He's got to have Christmas off, hasn't he? And New Year. But yeah, Blackpool on New Year's Day. We'll be back with a podcast probably after that. But all your regular content coming up.
Another good chance for 3 points.
Yes, another good chance. I can't wait.
I tell you what, if we can get a win there, that's a hell of a Christmas period of fixtures to tick off, isn't it?
And a good piss up for the lads, fans in Blackpool that weekend. It's always a good weekend in Blackpool, particularly around New Year. I think the last time we did have I was there, of course. Yeah, we had that one where there was about 10,000 of us in the ground and 1,000 of their fans.
Scored, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a crap game, but it was a great weekend. So all your content coming up around that game on rotoreport.sbnation.com. Of course, on the podcast, we'll be back after the match with a pod. Don't forget, before the end of December, which is creeping up, obviously, tomorrow. Well, it depends when you're listening to this. But yeah, we've got the end of the month coming up, which will be the end of the Sunderland Community Soup Kitchen fundraiser for this year. As it stands, as we record, we're creeping up on 35,000. We want to try and hit that by the end of the month. If we can get there, great. If you listen to this and you haven't donated, please consider it, because the reaction's been great. I mean, we still haven't had the final total back from the club, but every match ticket that was sold on Boxing Day, we made £1 from. But yeah, maybe we'll have that total for you by the time this pod goes out. Just to add on to that. So yeah, we're hoping to maybe touch 50, all things considered, which would be unbelievable, because we know that this has been a really, really tough year for most people. You know, a lot of normal families struggling just to get by, even to pay their heating bills and stuff. We knew it was going to be hard to fundraise this time around after such a Herculean effort last year, but you've still all came out and done your bit, and we've had people raising money in their workplaces. We've had we did a charity raffle which raised £1,000. We raised over £1,000 thanks to the Sock Council, who created a bespoke design, and people bought those for Christmas presents and what have you. So it's been brilliant, and next year we'll hit it even harder again. We'll hopefully keep it going, because when I say this, and I mean it, like, this charity relies on this fundraiser every year just to survive. You know, so know that when you're donating, you're doing your bit. So yeah, the fundraiser page will still be open after December, but you know, we're hoping to hit that total by the end of the month. So if you can donate, please do. And that just leaves me with this, Martin, and to say goodbye to you.
Excellent. Yes, Happy New Year to everybody.
Yes, Happy New Year. I wasn't very cheery on the last one.
Yeah, really, isn't it?
Well, I wasn't very cheery on the last one, and I was doing down Christmas. I've actually had a really nice Christmas, mainly because Sunderland have won games. But yeah, it's been a great year to be a Sunderland fan, and you will possibly not catch us until the new year. So as Martin says, have a happy new year, everybody, and we'll catch you later.
Where am I going? I don't know. Where am I heading? I ain't certain. All I know is I am on my way.